You're here, I'm pleased, I really feel your company. Your style, your smile, your pace mentality. Lord, have mercy on me. I was blind, now I can see what a king's supposed to be.
Excuse me, miss. I was in the waiting room when you gave your testimony. And what I realized is that we have an enemy in common. While you were being called to the office again, I was being put out the only home I've ever known. While you were shaking with anxiety and fear over something no one ever wants to hear, I was shaking in dread. Because we all know what happens to little girls that have no home and no one to claim them. I think our souls passed each other by. See, my soul left me a long time ago in a dingy motel room, ripped away by brutal force. It fled, unable to find its way back home.
Historical people, who would you want in your seat and why?
Wow. I guess because I'm different. You know, I'm not really starstruck. And so it would be hard to really pinpoint anybody in particular. First person that just came to my mind, you know, I mean, if I had an opportunity to cut Denzel, you know, I would.
That's a good one.
I'd do that.
That would be a dope conversation.
Exactly.
How important is diversity in your work, considering you grew up in a bilingual, bicultural home?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important. I think at this point, just in society, there's just so much diversity. You know, whether it be in language, whether it be in your upbringing, whether it be, you know, whatever that is. And so I think growing up in, you know, a bilingual household as well as really a bicultural, despite the fact that, you know, my parents are you know, both of Hispanic descent, but growing up in two different cultures of, you know, very traditional values in the home and very different, and sometimes similar values, right, outside of the home, but in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And so,
he tests those whom he loves. I pray he continues to love me till my death. I pray he continues testing me and testing me and testing me until I have no questions left. Until I can ingest knowledge and choke on lies and spit out truth with every breath. But you see, until love for what he loves and hate for what he hates is the only thing that's left within my chest. I know that I will constantly fight to love what's right because I was created with a heart that sits slightly to the left. But I'm okay with that. Because I always knew and always know that he knows exactly what is best. You see, he knew that it would only be a matter of time before I would open my eyes and finally realize that I needed to look deep down inside and pull out the divide so that my heart and my mind would collide and learn to work together.
Because I don't have my fingers up. I can still do that.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. I can hang look at that with it.
There you go, mama. Get it, mama. Get it, mama.
You better recognize.
What's happening for us in the Element Family online community? We are back in the building like we never left. This is Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People. And like I said before, we have an extraordinary guest on the show today. So without further ado, let me get to this mini introduction so we can get to some great conversation and great topics. She is born and raised in Fairfield, Alabama. This is a spot where she was a part of, or during the civil rights movement, I believe. 38 years in the education field. She is currently teaching at Clifford Davis Elementary, where it seems to be a multicultural school. She has also worked alongside Miss Jewel Kelly, music director. We all know ODY High School. Shout out to ODY. That's where I went.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
All right.
Without further ado, we have the one and only Miss Amazing, Adrian Knox. What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. We just trying to survive. Trying to make it from hour to hour, day to day. That's what we're doing.
I love it. You know I call you mama now. That's what I'm gonna call you.
Oh, I've received that. I accept that.
I've known you for a very long time.
Graciously,
Long time.
That's right.
That's
Right. We go way back.
We do. We go way back. I want to kick off the show. I always kick off the show laying the groundwork. Take a moment to share with our online audience your upbringing, your childhood, where you were born and raised in Alabama. Just kind of walk us through that journey.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Fairfield, Alabama, and that's a little small town outside of Birmingham. And it was right during the time of a lot of racial discord and during a lot of the civil rights changes, you know, because Dr. King used to come to some of the church, and the SCLC used to meet at the church across the street from my house. So I was born and raised in a home with 4 other sisters, and mom and dad. And my dad, Fairfield was known for the steel mill capital of the South, and a lot of black people migrated there, men especially, to work in the steel mill because that was their way of gaining an edge. And so that's what my dad did, and that's what most of the people in the area did. And I was raised with 4 other sisters, and we all graduated from our graduates of the University of Alabama.
Woo!
I know.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. And how that came about, because, you know, that's one of the largest universities that happen to be predominantly white. And at that time, they were trying to create a balance of, educational experiences for minorities. During that time, it was important because they had known some of the things that were used to set a lot of minorities back. And during that time, we had a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot of fighting for rights. I'm sorry. We had a lot of things going on. We had a lot of things that we were fighting for just to create equality. So, you know, I was there during the movement. Miles College, which was a historical HBCU, it was located right in the back of our house. So a lot of the young men and women there protested, and these were activists. And so they were on the move to make sure they were the ones that were boycotting some of the stores or had sit-ins at counters that refused to serve them and serve all the black people. We were not allowed to purchase from some of the stores that we had to go around the back and had a certain date and time that we had to go to movie theater. So some of the ones from that era, they know the experience. Some of the young folks don't know that's what happened. But it seemed like as we go, it seemed like things are turning backwards. So you're going to experience some of it. I hope it's not some of the same things. I hope it doesn't turn back. But some of the things that you're experiencing now, we already fought for and thought that those things were resolved. Yeah. So we were during that time. So it's just that at the time they were offering opportunities for minorities. And we would have gone to an HBCU. We always had that aspiration. But University of Alabama was trying to, I guess they were trying to make some changes, and they offered more money, so we had to go where the money was. So, and so all of us are graduates of University of Alabama. Let's say roll tide again.
Roll tide.
Roll tide, roll. And we're proud of that experience. And let's see what else. It's just that, and during that program, after having graduated from that in education, I was on a job placement program because I didn't know they did that, but the job placement put me here in Fort Worth, Texas.
Wow.
I had worked in Alabama, but I experienced a whole lot of racism. They put me at a school where as long as I had been in Alabama, where it was at, I started working straight out of college, so it was about 21. I never had heard of this town, nor had I heard of this school. And well, I think I had heard of some neighboring towns, and I don't want to call the town's name because I don't want any repercussions. So I'm coming back on. So what it is that as I was traveling to and fro from the school, I noticed that there were very few minorities. I think there were 3 black teachers at the school. And the head of the Ku Klux Klansman was the brother to the principal at the school.
Wow.
And it was such a frightening experience that as I traveled through, the whole thing was frightening. I would go there, and it seemed like every other day I got stopped by the police. And they would say just anything. They would say, we had an APB out on a car that looked sort of like this, and your description fit somebody, and they would stop, and then they would check it out and find out that I guess I was not fitting that description. So they would let me go, but the whole thing was really unnerving. And I just used to pray, God bless me to get somewhere close by my job, my house, my residence. I mean, a job close by my residence, so I won't have to travel here, so I won't experience this. And the principal used to let us out, the 3, I said 3, but it might have been 5, black teachers out early because he knew that there were going to be some racial unjust situations where they're going to riot. Some of the Ku Klux Klansmen, just the mere fact that they had integrated the school and started allowing minorities to go there and had hired these few black teachers. And so I just used to pray to get me out that situation. And lo and behold, God is good. He did.
Yes, Lord.
I just didn't know it was going to be in Fort Worth, Texas. So when I was on a job placement program, and they called me and they told me that they had a job for me. They set me up and had an apartment right down the street from where my employment was. So I said, okay, God, I asked for this, and you granted me that. But I didn't expect it to be in Texas. But I took on the challenge. I needed to get away from home. And that is the beginning of how I got in Texas. And I was only supposed to stay here 1 year. And what is that? At least 40 years later, I'm still in Fort Worth, Texas.
You still here, Mama?
So this is home, isn't it, Willie? This is home.
This is home for you.
Okay. And so I've gotten adjusted to it. Forest Hill, Fort Worth is where they put me. Forest Hill is where I decided to locate. So that's the beginning of my life story.
How was that transition, leaving Alabama and moving to Fort Worth, Texas?
Actually, there were 5 of us, and they were all, we had all graduated, well, except for my younger sister, and we were all in the same house. And the homes were smaller, the bedroom size, so it wasn't like it was a large home. And we were sort of getting on one another's nerves.
I'm pretty sure.
Other people probably had observed it and could tell that, hey, so it was a frustrating situation. So I was glad to say that I was going to be the one person bold enough to leave home.
Wow.
And I had a choice between Atlanta, Georgia, and Fort Worth, Texas. Atlanta, Georgia, during that time, with having those child murders. It was during the same period.
Yes. I think Miss Charlotte talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
She had.
And I used to be very petite, and I don't have much height on me. And I figured they're going to mistake me for one of those children. So the choice became easy. I said, okay, Fort Worth, here I come. Texas, here I come. So that's what led me. That's what helped make my decision. And I was only going to be here for a year. I was going to fix my mother and let her know that, hey, I can be independent. And here I am, years later, still in Texas. So things changed for the best. So.
Yes. How proud of a moment was that, knowing that you and your siblings all graduated from the same college? That's historical.
That's
huge.
I think that that's a nice accomplishment when you look back over that. And since it's the University of Alabama, and they're historical for having been number 1 in a lot of sports.
Yes, yes.
I shouldn't
yes.
go back and name them. I don't want to make a mistake and some other Roll Tide or Alabamian come here and correct me on it. But and I don't often. I keep up with the games, but I don't necessarily watch them. My
Right.
sisters, them all
Right.
feed me the information about them, so we all read. But that was really a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
To know when you look back on it that we all accomplished that, and I think 4 out of 5 of us all became teachers.
Wow.
Yeah, so we
Wow.
all became teachers, and that's about it.
Was that something you always wanted to do, or it just fell in your lap? You're like, this is what I'm gonna do, and just trust God.
That's a good question. You know something? As a child, let's go back.
Let's go back,
As a
Mom.
child, when I was really young and taller than everybody else in the community, I used to always have all the kids around sitting down where I was the teacher. So I knew that was something that I was always inclined to be or destined to be. And I used to always have a passion for teaching. I just enjoy working with kids and seeing how they progress and seeing what you can do in their life and seeing how they develop from what you've experience that you've had with them. So I've always had a passion to teach.
Yeah.
I've always had that.
Now, knowing that you've been in the game for, you mentioned 40, 40 years.
I said 38, but if you want to round it off to 40, that's fine. 40 just puts me a little higher in age, but it's fine. 38 years.
I guess what other areas in the education field do you have experience in? I know
Okay, right now, mine, since I majored generally in education, mine could vary from elementary to junior high school. And I, cross-section, even special ed, special need kids. And so I had a mix of choices. And sometimes you choose what is available. So I had the opportunity to teach math to a lot of kids who were underserved and had learning disabilities, just specifically, who went on to make great accomplishments. So I had an opportunity to do that. And I think, I was at here, and I don't want to get ahead of you.
No, go ahead.
Here.
It's your show.
Here, I taught at O.D. Wide. Well, I originally came here, and I taught. When I say they moved me in an apartment down the street. It was at Kirkpatrick High School, and that was a high school that was designed for kids for special needs, high functioning, learning disabled. And then I had an opportunity, and I chose, since I moved in this area, I chose O.D. Wide as they gave us an opportunity to select whichever school was closest to our residence.
Right.
And I chose O.D. Wide. And when they closed down Kirkpatrick, let me say that. And then from there, I think I taught at O.D. Wide 27 years, and the remainder of my years, I taught in Alabama those 2 years, and the remainder of my years I taught at Arlington Heights.
Oh, Arlington Heights.
Yeah, I did. That was an experience in itself. So
let's talk about it.
I really
What was it like?
It was a transition. It was different than my experience at O.D. Wide. I don't want to get myself in trouble with it, but no, it was different, and I think that every experience helped me.
Yeah.
To better understand kids, and I needed to, experience a broad range of kids on different sides of town. I had been in O.D. Wide a long time, so
Yeah.
and there were some changes needed to be made. So going to Arlington Heights was a good experience. I counted all joy. I met some wonderful people there.
Yeah.
And from then I met this, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of you again.
Go ahead.
I retired and enjoyed retirement. I really did. But somehow that you need to get around and move a little more. When I retired, my sisters later retired, and we just had, a lot of things that we could just enjoy. We had accomplished major things that would not put us in a financial predicament that we were so needing to have to go back. But I had a desire to go back after having sat down a little while. I said, well, let me go back and see what I was work with some kids again.
Yeah.
And my daughter, who works at this particular school, Clifford Davis, told me a whole lot of things that were going on. And she told me about the international population,
Wow.
the different kinds of kids and the different languages and the experiences. And I kept saying, and that couldn't, some things I questioned. Oh, okay. And then so finally I was keeping my grandkids up until they got to the age of that they were allowed in school. And so I said, well, I need to do something other than just sit around here. And so I decided to take on that challenge of going to this school to see exactly how it was. And it's exactly like she said. Everything. I talk.
Oh my God.
Everything is just exactly. But it is such a rewarding experience. I just love. It lets me know how good God is. He made so many multicultural and so many different languages and all these kids. And one thing that you can know, even though some of them are not used to certain cultures, I assume that they are not, because some of them sort of look, and they were a little distant. And sometimes they might not even be used to female taking a leadership position. You could tell that when I first entered the classroom, and I went in as a sub. The first year I did sub just occasionally, and then COVID set in.
Yep.
Oh, that was okay.
I know that was a whole experience for
COVID.
For teachers.
COVID made me really nope. I'm not going back. I don't. But after that sort of got under control, then I went back and it opened my eyes to how beautiful the world is with all these mixed and different cultures and the kids. It lets you know how kids have this love for you, just irregardless of who you are and whatever, and everything that's about them that seems like it's maybe hatred, or I shouldn't say hatred, or maybe not understanding this because it's been fed to them, or they've been trained into that.
Right.
And so these kids are just beautiful kids. I love it.
Going back to your time teaching at ODY, was it multicultural then when you were teaching?
No, it wasn't. ODY transitioned a lot from the time that I had been there.
Yeah.
It was predominantly black. There might have been maybe, I could have counted at least 10, 15 other, and I would say white kids. I don't know of any other cultures there. There were no Hispanic kids that I saw. I'm quite sure there were one or two mixed in the mix. And then you saw it slowly, well, actually, for a long period, it hadn't. It stayed the same. And then later on, it started, the makeup of the school changed. And, you saw that Hispanics were going to become the predominant race then. And that's how it is now. And other cultures, because, they have this apartment. I hadn't been to ODY since it really has become mixed to that point. So I don't know how it is now. I've spoken with some people, but there is a lot of different cultures there.
Yeah.
And I was at ODY. Yeah, I stayed at ODY, and I think that, I don't know if I get ahead by saying, the principal, one of my principals I was under a lot of different principals with a lot of different strategies for how to control behavior.
Yeah.
At one time, ODY was known for different things. One time they had gang problems. It was out of control, and you get different methods of techniques there, and some of the principals were able to get that together. And I saw before I left that problem had sort of subsided. It wasn't just as obvious that we didn't have that kind of problem where you couldn't wear a certain color. If they did it down on the low key.
Yeah.
And so, but I remember when Katrina.
Yes, I remember that. I was at ODY when they came here.
That was horrible.
Yeah, it was tough.
You know, me, I'm the kind, I don't like people to stereotype kids or to categorize them and say, and so when they were saying those Katrina kids, they are, and I know Katrina people gonna call me, y'all call me so I can get understand. Go ahead and call. But that was every bit of what had been reported. It was every bit and maybe worse, you know, personal one-on-one experience, because I think that the training, wherever they came from, was a little different.
Yeah.
So when they were removed from their home and they came to ODY, I don't know how it was in some of the other districts I had heard,
Right.
but it was an eye-opening experience. Every bit of what I had heard, you know, even, you know, they weren't used to the kind of discipline we had. And we didn't realize we had discipline because we used to question some of it until they came there. And, you know, some of the things that they say they were allowed to do
yeah.
that they did, you know, smoking in the hallway or talking to some of the adults. I'm sorry, adults. Why surely y'all gonna let me cough? I don't want to mess your video up.
No,
but,
Mama,
you know,
you fine.
It's allergies out there.
You're okay.
I felt stared at by your audience. Let me hear the audience. Y'all are staring me. Yay, root me on. Okay. But you know, it was just it made me not want to teach anymore. I said, oh my gosh, they just had a different kind of respect or lack thereof. You know, so that was an experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an experience. Yeah, I was there around that time. It was rough.
That was pretty rough.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that we experienced. Otherwise, I had gone through a lot of principles with a lot of different techniques as to how to control behavior, and kids have changed.
Yeah.
Have changed a whole lot.
Yeah. You mentioned training, leadership. So for you, who were some of your mentors, I guess, helping you along the way?
Well, I guess I had mentors as far as leadership. I had gotten a coalition of friends, and we used to get together and support one another.
Yeah, that's
so
important.
At ODY, it just didn't come straight from the office, but since I'm gonna have one of the principals as a guest on the show,
yes.
I have to say, Mr. Stephen Johnson. Oh yeah, he was one of the ones that really he understood kids.
Yeah.
And so I worked with him. He understood, you know, having worked with kids and understanding kids. And he had gone from, I think, what is it, the junior high school here.
Which one?
Well, anyway, he had gone from junior high school since we're not going to take much time. And Forest Oak.
Okay, Forest Oak.
And so he had actually graduated with those kids as they moved to high school. He was the principal at Forest Oak with them, and he graduated. So he had a good relationship, a good rapport with the kids.
Yeah.
And I worked under Muscle Walter Dansman, and he's known in the area. He was the superintendent at one point here in Fort Worth. And he was just a well-loved principal. He had a rapport with the teachers and the community.
Yeah.
They just loved him. So, you know, I went under a lot of different leaders. Some I understood their leadership ability more than I did others. Some I agreed with it, you know, their techniques more than I did with others. But when I look back over it, I survived. Like I'm like whooping. I'm like on Color Purple. I'm still here. So
you still here?
Yeah,
Mama
I'm
Knox.
still here.
Yes,
So
you are.
through it all.
We have a question from the audience.
Okay.
Did you ever think about going into administration? Why or why not?
Actually, I didn't want the headache. So there were some people that I started this journey with who did go on in advance and go to administration. But when I came to Texas, I had no relatives here, and I was sort of the matriarch. So whatever I did, I had to establish the reputation. I had to establish the pathway for my kids. So everybody who knows them and knows their family, I'm the root. I started it.
You started it.
So did the matriarch. So I didn't want to. I could have done that, but at that time it would have taken too much from what I needed to do as far as raising them and sort of directing their path and helping. So it was a whole lot. Because at some point in time, I became a single parent. I wasn't always a single parent. I started this out with their dad, my ex-husband, and we, collaboratively worked to make sure that my kids had a whole lot of opportunities. And so at some point in time, when you become a single parent, you don't want to become a statistic. You don't want somebody to say that, hey, your kids, I'm a single parent, the kids. I hear people saying that. I never understood that because I thought that, I thought that statistics were a little off, the odds were a little off because anybody, I don't care, because we grew up where a lot of people were single parents and they raised their kids to be wholesome, great kids, entrepreneurs and other, things that they could have gone into. So I hated that stereotype, and I was determined not to fall prey to what the stereotype was. And when I look back over them, so that's all so had I become an administrator, that meant it would have taken a lot more time away from what I needed to do, as far as their upbringing and things that I needed to provide for them. So I didn't. And I have no regrets because I don't know if I wanted that headache. You have to have the aspiration. And some of my friends did it and they did it well, and I'm proud of them. Some of them did it, and you can tell the stressors in their lives, and they, so some things you look back over in life and you regret. I don't regret that. Nope.
Okay. You don't regret anything or just that?
Oh, it's a whole lot of things I regret. I don't regret not having become an administrator. There were a lot of things. I served in a lot of capacities, like community, this library. I started with Ms. Harvey.
He was giving you some clouds, Mom.
I started, because I used to take my kids to the library. I was determined. We're not going to be a statistic. Somebody has said that single parent homes are responsible for this and that, and I still dispute that. But, Ms. Harvey and she was such a warm-hearted person. She just embraced me, and she used to keep my kids. I said, well, when I knew I had another assignment, because at one point in time, I was working different jobs. I knew a little music, so somebody trusted me to play a song for another church. But, it worked out. So that was a little job. And then, I could do other things, and I sold and I tutored. And then I worked in the church, but that wasn't for pay, but I worked in the church. And so I did other things. But I knew they needed to go to the library. And she said, I'll keep these kids right here. And I said, oh, wow. So she did. She would keep them there, and they would read. And I had an opportunity to enjoy both sides, go outside and do what I needed to do, and then let them spend time in the library. Wow. And the library was set up in a little Forest Hill, what was that? Yeah, it was a shopping center. Strip? It was like where Dollar General is.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And it was a cute little setup because I had heard it was a library in Forest Hill, and I had moved here long before that, and I went in there and it was just a little cute little storefront, little library. It was, and she kept my kids. She and this other lady.
Wow.
And so I was able to do other things.
Wow.
So I worked there, and she always had a vision. I'm not getting into her life, but she always had a vision to expand.
Yeah.
And she had a vision as to how she wanted to see kids coming and being the library being a central focus point of attraction. And so I'm glad to see that Now I'm giving y'all props. I'm glad to see that it has,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So y'all have done a wonderful job presenting the library as this central place that they can come and feel comfortable with books. Books, y'all, books. Banned and unbanned, but good books.
Books.
That's important. So
Yeah, it's important.
You know, that's what it is. I never had a desire to go any further because I did other things. I was doing a lot,
Yeah.
and
You touched on music. Let's get into that. Where did this love for music come from? Where did that start?
That's I have a passion. I do have a mind in music. People don't know that. Some people do. So I just don't. Now you don't want to know this story, but I think that sometimes
We want to
Let me tell
know.
you,
Go ahead.
there are just musicians in my family, period. And so some are gifted, but my mother and my father, well, basically my mother, because she was sort of concentrated in that area, she was determined that you were not just going to know it by ear, you were going to be able to, know the music and know the techniques.
The techniques, the notes.
And so I have a sister who has degree in music,
Wow.
University of Alabama. And I have a niece that she used to win all kind of competitions, classical music and everything. And just in every generation, in every group, there is somebody who plays. But we never got together to sing and do like some of these other stars that I wish we could have.
Man, that would have been amazing.
That would have been
great.
But they sing, and I play. I know music, and I don't play publicly. There were a lot of reasons why I didn't think that was my calling, and I would do it. But I know music. If you put the sheet music before me, I could play it. But not as well as my sister. And they used to always compare us. We used to, and I knew that I was gonna fall short to what her gifts were. And when that's something you look back over your life, you say, if I could change, I would change. I know one time they called me to play for this church when I was younger. And I knew I was going to freeze up because if I missed the note, I was so focused on that mistake. And I was so focused on they're going to compare me with her. That's all. When I think back on it, I always knew that I was going to be compared. And we used to tease one another. She would say, hee, hee, hee. Okay, maybe you wouldn't have sisters. She knows what I'm talking about. But I was thinking that... so I didn't. But one time I just froze up. I was supposed to play for rehearsal. I did well, and then on that Sunday, I just could not make myself do it. And she came and finally helped me through it, which was good.
Yeah.
She left her church and she came over there, and so I said I would never do that again because so I know music well enough to teach. I've taught some kids music, and they've done well. And I figure that's my calling, is not to play. And
But
sometimes,
you teach?
Huh?
So you rather teach than play? Is that what you?
Well, actually, yeah, I'd rather teach than play because I think I have some techniques to make kids not go through what I've gone through. Mine was in my head. Get it out your head, people. Go ahead and don't look back over your years and say, I should have. I wish I did, had done or something.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do it and say, I made a mistake. And then you can bypass that. But if you never do it, you always gonna say, I should have, or had I done it, what would have been. So I don't. But I'm older now, but somehow I think, hey, if I get back on the piano, I just don't. The piano is there. I wanted a piano because that's what I grew up with.
Yeah, the piano.
People just played the piano. There were some natural talents, but we do sing, some of us.
Who are some of your favorite piano players growing up?
Oh, musicians.
Musicians in
the
general.
musicians, homegrown musicians, just anyone who could play. My mother played, but she was not the kind. She played and I guess my family members.
That's cool.
I never did go past them.
Yeah.
There were some who could really play. Like even now, I've met with a lot of them that really could play and knew music well. They just got it all shut up in the bones, like Miss Kelly. She just has music all in her head and all of her, So I do like harmony.
Yeah,
I do direct music and I do know music well enough to know parts. Well,
Yeah.
having a minor in it, and a minor from the University of Alabama, they didn't sort of play. They really put a lot into the music department. I'll tell you another story. We went down there, we knew that music could be an easy A for us, and to offset any bad grades you might have had in college. You needed to take a subject, even though it's a 1-hour course that was going to help elevate or raise your GPA.
Right.
We all were going to take music. So at that time, they didn't have any black people, or maybe if they had any, we saw very few. I didn't see any other minorities. Well, they probably had some, but it was a large choir. And so we all decided we were going to go and get in the choir. Now, the music director, he wasn't used to it, but he was so proud of what we brought to the table. Our voices were just strong, and we could offset that with, he gave us all A's. We just made that choir. That was one of the largest choirs. We went everywhere.
Wow.
We got so much, so many compliments, and he was so proud. He even said at one point in time, I want all the black people. And he didn't say it as a racist. No, he wasn't trying to be racist. I'm gonna ask my sister if they remember that. He wanted us, because we took over the alto role. All of us seemed like we were altos and tenors. And I know there probably were some sopranos, but we made the choir.
Wow.
We did. We developed that into going into a different direction. And we got our A. And look here, that A helped to balance my GPA, and I graduated. So those were the good things. I love music. I love music.
Yeah.
I love harmony. So
Who were the sopranos, altos, and tenors in the family?
I might have made a mistake when I said everybody could sing.
My God.
The ones that don't sing, some, they know music, because my mom and dad made sure all of us took piano lessons.
Right.
We had a local lady who had, her son was, y'all might not know him, but he was a famous jazz player. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I heard the tapping. But Ramsey Lewis, her son was Cleveland Eaton. From you might not know Ramsey Lewis Trio. There was a little jazz group band, and he played. And so she taught the kids in the neighborhood, anybody whose parent had their little, I think it might have been 25 cents. My mother made sure all of us had music lessons, so all of us know music.
Wow.
And so some sang, some didn't. Some knew that was not their calling. And if my sister was here now, she'll tease. She likes to pretend, and she goes all off into her little run. Just to make me laugh. It is pretty funny. And the other one who couldn't sing now, she does other things. They have their own special gifts, but they know music. They just know that wasn't their calling. So as far as the sopranos in our family, I don't think that there were any sopranos. All of us had low voices. You can hear I talk now. My voice was so low. I used to direct the male choir. That's getting to church. We used to do a lot of things at church. So I had an opportunity to share some of my gifts in church. And we used to direct I used to direct the male choir. And I was the baritone. I could hear the baritone. I can hear the low bass. Because we had low voices.
Right,
but I could. So it sort of set the harmony, because if they had, high tenor, and then you had the the tenors, and I had the little baritone, and then you had the bass. So it worked. We had good harmony.
Wow.
So those are some of the things I was proud of. But we didn't have many sopranos. All of us talk like this. we could sit down there. You asked about, what the other course that I think I might have gone into. Because we used to sit down there as sisters in the house. We used to argue all the time. Any person who knows me from my past say, Adrian, you like to argue. I don't. Why I'm just explaining why I'm always right.
The engineers.
I'm just explaining. I saw that on one little skit. I'm just explaining to you why I'm right and you're wrong. So I don't like to, we used to argue all night.
my God.
So we all thought we were going to be lawyers. And then we got down there when we at the University of Alabama. We saw the requirements. Okay, we're not going to be lawyers. So we, well, I don't know about them, but I said, no, I wanted to do other things.
What do you like most about being a director of music? What's the most funnest thing?
Harmony. I love harmony. They ask, do you want to lead? I said, I just want to harmonize. I like to hear it in my ear. I like directing harmony. And I just enjoy music just in general. So, and my little niece used to play classical music, and she graduated from Boston University. They were following our footsteps in music.
Yeah.
So she was on, and I loved that too. We used to love to hear her play. And so, yeah, I enjoy
Harmony.
Yeah.
What does that consist of? I mean, I like music, but I ain't in it like you are. So what does that consist of, harmony? Is it just
No, you have to have the balance of sound. And you have to hear your high sopranos. And you have to hear the tenor, or you can hear second soprano. It's how you hear the balance of sound. You know,
Makes
like
sense.
you hear some great directors, and then you hear some music that they have put together, and you hear that, and you just, it raises some, it stimulates your mind and brain, and it just raises things in your mind that make you just, when you hear music that you like on radio, some things just inspire you, just lift you up, give you that great lift. And so, I got coffee. Okay, and so some things, it does something to you. Just like some of the songs that you might hear that during your time, that you were raised up, and some things just motivate you, just make you move, or some things just calming, and some things, it's like an ease in your mind. You just hear it. Just like angelic, just like you assume that it's going to be in heaven.
Yeah.
With those perfect balance of voices that you have. You need to hear all parts.
I agree.
One doesn't need to try to out-sing the other.
Yeah.
But it just needs to be in perfect harmony. And so that's what I like to do, and that's what I like to, and still might, because I've been given a challenge again to try to do that. And I think I hadn't ruled it out, so I might, who knows, because I do like to hear music. So.
Do you direct at Berea Church, the church you attend now, or someone else over the music?
Oh, I'm sorry. That I didn't do that because you said it. But I told you these allergies, y'all.
Well, I know mine messing up too, but it's okay.
I used to direct. I don't anymore. We've had a lot of transitions.
Yeah.
And right now, we have a musician who's great, and she directs, and we have another director who's sitting by, and whenever she's called, But I do sing in the choir. I do sing.
Okay.
And,
what were some of your most?
Let me get some more.
Oh, go ahead.
Before you ask me to pull out a song, I write songs too.
Oh, you're right.
I do.
When the last time you wrote a song? Has it been a while?
I have a lot of songs. We in this little James Cleveland gospel choir.
I know who James Cleveland is.
Yeah.
He old school.
So, yeah. So we're in this GMC, we're in this gospel choir. Well, I hadn't been there so long. I shouldn't even call myself one of the people that's still in it. But either way, so at one time they had a songwriters program where the ones who wrote songs could go and they would sing the songs, and they chose one of my songs. I thought it was a nice song. So I have a lot of them. I think I need to write the music to it. With all this technology, I can just have the music just playing in the background. I don't have to write it. But I have a lot of songs to my bed. I have one that when my dad passed, I said, I'm determined I'm going to sing this at his funeral, and I had the grandkids. Were you? Oh, I don't know if it was there or not. But I'm sorry. Those are the great grand. I had my children. I had my children and my sister's children as the background.
Right.
Now this one you can mess up. And so they were practicing all night long, and my other sister was supposed to play for us. And they were playing, and finally, they must have thought that I wasn't gonna do it. So at his funeral, I called, because this is what my dad would have wanted us to do. He was a jokester, and so I called him up there. I said, and now I'm gonna sing a song that I made up, and I would like all of the grandkids to come up there. They all looked at each other like, what? They weren't gonna come. Do you know, during his funeral, we were pulling them up, dragging them on up there, and they went up there. Now, it might have been a failure, but somebody remembered that song enough to ask me, they wanted to hear it again. And so they might have thought it was gonna be a joke, but I sang it at my sister's birthday. I don't know if she want me to mention her 70th birthday party. She had a birthday party at church, and she said, I want you to sing that song you sang at Daddy's funeral. So sometimes you don't realize what people are touched by.
Yeah.
And that song, even though it went off as a joke at a funeral, at my daddy's funeral, and he would have laughed at it too. But she remembered it. Now, this time I said, I cannot do that. I hadn't even written words. It was really, she said, no, you have to do it. She kept, and so I did. And there were so many people at her birthday party. I said, wow, that when I did it, people are asking. She said even now they're calling her, asking her for the song, if I had a copy of it or anything. So it's a nice song. And I don't think I give you a rendition. I don't think I'm ready to do that, but maybe later on.
Okay.
When I do, when one of the other musicians come.
Right.
And maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I've written a lot of songs that, who knows? I just lead into where God wants me to be, position myself where he would want me to be. Then that's when you get your blessing. You got to position yourself.
All
you
right,
got to
mama.
be ready. You got to be ready. So I got those songs just ready.
Right, right. I got you. Well, we have to make a pivot. Online community, those that are watching, I have to let you guys know that the lady that I'm interviewing now, she will be our guest host. Yes. Make some noise. Guest host for this summer, for the month of June and the month of July. So buckle your seatbelts, get your notes, all that, man. We're going to have fun with Miss Adrian Knox interviewing some amazing people. So as we put a wrap on the show, kind of share with the people who you're interested in interviewing. I know June is going to be a great lineup for you. You got Miss Sharon Keaton, a.k.a. Miss Dip Swerve.
She's a story writer, and she does, I guess, live performances.
She does.
If you are interested in that, I think you're going to like it. And I have...
Comedian KG.
I have Comedian KG, yeah.
You got Comedian KG.
That's another thing I didn't tell y'all about my comedy. Y'all, I truly am. I love comedy.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a comedian, so it's gonna be a delightful experience.
Yeah.
Challenging myself with another comedian.
After Comedian KG, we have Mr. Willie Mumphrey.
Willie Mumphrey. I know some of you probably know him. I don't know where he's a native from, but he's been in Fort Worth as long as I can remember, because when I started teaching, he was teaching with me, and then he went on to become a principal. But he's a renowned musician.
Wow.
And you're going to see him play his guitar and probably other instruments, but I don't know if you're going to see that, but either way he can. I put it on.
We would love to. We had musicians on the show.
Oh, have you?
Mr. Willie Mumphrey, we'll ask him.
Okay, I'll ask him to drop by, and he can put a little rhythm to my song that I wrote. I think he wouldn't mind doing that. He's such a wonderful person.
Yeah, and then we're closing it with Mr. Stephen Johnson.
Stephen Johnson, you got to know Stephen Johnson. If you were in Fort Worth, he was the principal at OD. Come on, Wyatt. ODYS.
Chaparral.
Okay, Chaparral and Forest Oak Junior High School. Forest Oak Middle School, I mean.
Yeah.
So, right now he's doing a whole lot of things. I see him on Facebook, and he's doing a whole lot of things.
Yeah. That's good. You excited?
Oh,
Mama
well,
Knox?
I think I might be excited. I think the excitement will kick in once I start my
Right.
venture. I don't mind sharing and talking and finding out things about them. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if excitement is the word, but I'll be excited once it comes.
Oh man.
Michael, Will, I can be excited taking over something you're doing because he does it so well. Y'all give it up for Willie. He just a natural, so I'll be trying to do what I can do with.
Mama Knox, you a
I
natural
just hold
talker. You a natural talker. I'm excited. I'm gonna be tuning in.
Has an hour passed?
Yeah, we are.
I got some more things to tell y'all. No, I'm just kidding.
Last
I'm just
words,
joking.
Mama Knox. Anything you want to share before we close out the show? Anything on
I'm
your
just
heart?
looking forward to the experience. It's
Yeah.
something I always wanted to do. Like I said, you might as well do what you can while you can, instead of saying, I wish I had. So let's go for it. Let's go for it, y'all.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Y'all heard it from Miss Adrian Knox. Like I mentioned before, she'll be our guest host for this summer for the months of June and July. So y'all stay tuned. Stay tuned. This is Ordinary Conversations with your host, Willie Beeman. We signing off.
Peace out.
Peace out.
That's the peace sign. It used to be. Gotta make sure I'm holding up the right side. All right. Ooh.